On the day I entered the palace, 100 loads of dowry were placed at the entrance, while countless subtitles exploded before my eyes. Help! Is this truly the corpulent concubine who was flayed by the tyrant and fed to the snakes? In the end, not even her bones remained. The tyrant has always loathed plump women. Her parents deliberately sent her to her demise to protect her cousin. Hurry, swapping brides with your cousin is your only chance. In my previous life, upon witnessing these comments, I adamantly refused to enter the palace, forcing my parents to risk their lives by sending my cousin with my 100 loads of dowry in my stead. Meanwhile, I ended up marrying a destitute scholar chosen by my cousin, burdened by 2 tattered trunks, and I found myself utterly exhausted by my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and the 5 children left behind by his late wife. Overwhelmed by such a life, I fled back home, only to be met at the door by my cousin, who wielded a bamboo stick to force me out. As a woman, you are inherently meant to serve your husband. How could you run home after enduring a little hardship? What would that mean for our dignity as women? My parents, who had always cherished me, wore cold expressions as they ordered me to be returned to my in-laws. Once you marry into his family, you are one of them. If you are beaten to death, that is your fate. I languished in misery, ultimately succumbing to exhaustion in the winter of my 3rd year. Yet, after my demise, I discovered that all these subtitles were merely her sorcery. Before me, my cousin clutched my sleeve, her eyes brimming with greed for my dowry. The comments surged wildly. I slowly lifted my hand to grasp my bridal gown, casting a cold gaze upon her. Do you aspire to enter the palace as a concubine? With your worth, how could you ever be worthy? The palanquin that brought me to the palace halted just outside the gate, while Lu Mian gazed enviously at the crimson wedding gown in my hands, her eyes brimming with resentment. Cousin, I've heard that the emperor has a fearsome visage, with a predatory demeanor, and he slays as effortlessly as one would chop vegetables. With your figure being so naturally ample, which man would find favor in you? What will you do once you enter the palace? Ever since the imperial decree had proclaimed me as the imperial concubine, she had been incessantly voicing disparaging remarks about the emperor, and I had initially believed her to be genuinely concerned for my well-being. It was only later that I realized her true intentions lay in coveting my dowry and my esteemed position. With a heavy hand, I hurled the teacup to the ground, exclaiming, "How dare you speak so recklessly about the emperor? Do you wish for our entire family to face his wrath?" Startled by my sudden severity, Lu Mian recoiled slightly, and a flurry of comments flooded my mind. Don't be foolish. The only one revealing the truth is your cousin. Indeed. Only she wishes to save you. Hurry and propose a trade. As long as you avoid the palace, you will be spared. Tears streamed down Lu Mian's face, her cries seeming heartfelt, as if she truly lamented my fate. If not for my past life, I might have believed I had misjudged her. Ignoring her completely, I turned away and donned the wedding gown before her. My cousin's worries were misplaced. With a splendid dowry and the title of imperial concubine, how could I possibly suffer? If memory serves, wasn't she also set to wed today? Why had she not yet changed her attire? Could it be that she harbored ambitions of entering the palace alongside me as a mere concubine? As the maids and matchmakers glanced her way, Lu Mian's complexion shifted from pale to purple. How could my cousin think so ill of me? If that were not the case, she should hasten back to her quarters to prepare. Time was of the essence. Lu Mian stood frozen in place, unwilling to leave, her determination palpable. She would not relent until she achieved her goal. I waved my hand, and several maids promptly surrounded her. Miss Lu, allow us to assist you in your preparations. The groom is already eagerly awaiting you. A wave of comments surged forth once more. No way. The protagonist truly intends to feed snakes? My goodness. She is squandering this chance to marry. Though the scholar may be poor, he cherishes his wife dearly. The protagonist will certainly not suffer. Good advice is wasted on the damned. I scoffed lightly. Since Lu Mian had chosen such a remarkable husband for herself, let her experience the fruits of her decision. As I adorned myself with the phoenix crown, my mother gently draped the bridal veil over me and sent me forth. The joyous palanquin swayed rhythmically, and an overwhelming wave of drowsiness suddenly engulfed me. No. The comments reappeared in my mind. Sleep now, and upon waking, all will be well. Stop resisting. This soporific is potent enough to incapacitate even a robust man. You will not awaken. Lu Mian had indeed administered a sleeping drug to me. I desperately pinched my palms and thighs, but my vision grew increasingly dim. In a moment of desperation, I yanked the golden hairpin from my head and plunged it into my thigh. Blood flowed profusely. The pain jolted me back to clarity. Peering through the palanquin's curtain, I realized this was not the route to the palace. I immediately commanded the bearers to halt. Stop. I am the Emperor's concubine. Where do you intend to take me? A cold scoff emerged from outside the palanquin. What a foolish dream. This is clearly the palanquin of Wu Xiaocai's bride. Had Lu Mian swapped my palanquin? How could this possibly be? My mother had helped me into the palanquin herself. There was no time to ponder further. I quickly removed the gold bracelet from my wrist and offered it to the bearers. Turning back, I rushed towards the palace, determined not to let the palanquin reach the Wu family, otherwise it would be too late. They accepted the bracelet, biting into it and exchanging glances before stowing it away. Just as I began to breathe a sigh of relief, one of them spat directly at me. Master Song and Madam Song have already informed us about their daughter's hysteria. Entering the palace? Dream on. The comments flowed in again. We're almost at the Wu family. Why resist? Just obediently become Wu Xiaocai's wife. Though he has 5 children, they will undoubtedly rise to prominence in the future. How could you bear to deny them a mother? Accept your fate. The bearers promptly blocked the palanquin's entrance. Memories of the suffering I endured in my past life flashed before me like a revolving lantern. No, I absolutely could not submit. I grasped the hairpin and thrust it into their backs with all my might. The bearer cried out in pain and released the palanquin, granting me the opportunity to escape. We were not far from the capital. If I ran swiftly, perhaps I could still make it. However, just as I burst from the palanquin, Wu Xiaocai appeared from seemingly nowhere. With his yellowed teeth bared, he seized my hair. You wretched woman! The Song family has already sold you to me. Where do you think you can run? Don't be fooled by his appearance. He is truly a devoted husband. Sister, marrying him is a true blessing for you. Hurry and follow him to the altar. I kicked forcefully at his abdomen. It is Lu Mian who is to marry you, not I. You've been deceived. I am the Emperor's recognized concubine. Can you endure the consequences of offending me? He winced from my kick and retaliated by slapping my face. Wretched woman. I care not for your title as concubine. The Song family has sent you to me, and you are now my wife. Hurry and return home to prepare my meals. Dazed and reeling from the blow, I coughed up blood. The comments rejoiced in my misfortune. If you had simply complied and married, you wouldn't be suffering this fate. Men are like the heavens. He is your sky. How could you ever resist him? Once you cross the threshold of the Wu family, you must become a dutiful wife and mother. Your cousin has already met the Emperor. Your escape is futile. The Wu family's gates loomed before me. I came to a standstill, ceasing all resistance. Wu Xiaocai, noticing my sudden stillness, paused in confusion. In that fleeting moment, I seized the powder from my pocket and flung it towards his eyes. Wretched woman! Wu Xiaocai cursed as he rubbed his eyes, but the powder obscured his vision, causing him to stumble and fall. Summoning all my strength, I sprinted away, finally catching up to Lu Mian just before the phoenix palanquin entered the palace gates. I hurled myself onto the palanquin, declaring, I am Song Manyu, the Emperor's concubine. The one within is an impostor. An impostor? The guards exchanged bewildered glances. The eldest daughter of the Song family rarely ventured out, and they had never seen me before. I rummaged through my garments for proof of my identity. Lu Mian, tears streaming down her face, peered out from the palanquin. Cousin, you have lived in my family, consumed my food, and while I could overlook your jealousy, you now seek to snatch away my chance at becoming a concubine? It is not that I wish to deny you, but your physique, cousin, might very well bring shame upon our entire Song family in the Emperor's eyes. A few passers-by began to gather. How shameless to covet your cousin's marriage. With her appearance, she hardly resembles a proper lady. She dares to take the place of the Song family's eldest daughter as a consort. I ran frantically, my wedding gown tattered and stained with blood, my hair a disheveled mess. Meanwhile, Lu Mian remained pristine in her phoenix crown and bridal attire, unaffected by the chaos surrounding us. The barrage of comments reemerged, creating chaos. Stop explaining, no one will believe you. The tyrant might even wipe out your entire family for this. Your parents have treated you so well. Do you want to drag them down with you? Hurry up and admit you're jealous of your cousin. Just say it. I clenched my teeth, my entire body gripping tightly onto Fengyu. A guard kicked me in the lower back, his blade pointed threateningly at me. At that moment, I spotted my parents rushing toward me, overwhelming joy flooding through me. Father, Mother, Lu Mian has taken my sedan chair. You must tell them I am Song Manxiu. No one could validate my identity better than my parents. My father hurried over, But before I could utter a word, he struck me hard across the face. Don't you recognize your own daughter? How dare you come here and cause such a ruckus? Our Song family has provided for you, and yet you wish to usurp my daughter's marriage. The one in the sedan is my daughter, Song Manchio. We recognize no other. My mother, hiding behind my father, wiped her tears. Lu Mian, please stop this nonsense. Your husband is waiting for you. Just return and fulfill your duties as a wife and mother. It turned out my parents had already sided with Lu Mian. The onlookers began to spit at me. How could there be such shameless individuals in this world? Perhaps they were afflicted with hysteria. Outside the crowd, Scholar Wu also rushed over, seizing my arm and yanking me up. Apologies, everyone, I accidentally let the family lunatic escape. Hurry back and perform the wedding rites with me. He dragged me away from the throng, which parted to allow him passage. Could it be that even in a second life, I could not alter my fate? The comments flashed furiously across the screen, all mocking. I told you to accept your fate. Struggling is futile. If your parents do not recognize you, you shall never rise again. Becoming a stepmother to 5 children, serving as a maid in the Wu family is your ultimate destiny, haraha. I could not resist. Completely captured by Scholar Wu, tears helplessly streaming down my cheeks. Suddenly, a sharp voice rang out from nowhere. Stop! The Emperor has arrived. A golden palanquin descended before us. The Emperor smiled slightly, his pale, slender hand resting on the sedan, the black gold dragon robe billowing in the wind, his fingers lightly tapping. My beloved concubine, Qi Rong, are you being bullied? All the onlookers knelt in fear. The Emperor's voice was cold, laced with danger. So, which of these two is truly Song Manchio? My parents nearly answered in unison. The one in the sedan is my daughter. The one by the roadside is merely a madwoman spouting nonsense. I attempted to speak, but Scholar Wu stuffed a foul cloth into my mouth, and I could only struggle, uttering meaningless syllables. I could not fathom why my parents would act this way. They had always cherished me the most since childhood, yet now I was rendered immobile, gazing at them with a mix of anger and sorrow. My parents averted their eyes, guilt-ridden. Oh! The Emperor's curious and indifferent gaze fell upon Lu Mian. So you're Song Manchio? Lu Mian shyly revealed her long, fair neck, sweetly addressing him. Your Majesty, it is I. No. Do not believe her. My tears flowed instantly. The Emperor chuckled lightly, advancing step by step towards Lu Mian. The comments erupted in excitement. We told you so. The Emperor would take a liking to your cousin at first glance. No man can escape the grasp of your cousin, dear protagonist. You should just marry Scholar Wu and settle down. That is your destiny. The Emperor's ink-black boots halted before Lu Mian. Song Manchio? Lu Mian cheerfully tilted her head, displaying a charming smile. It is I. My heart sank, tears streaming down my face. The Emperor extended his hand, and Lu Mian, blushing, reached out to meet it. Yet in the next moment, to my astonishment, he swiftly drew his sword and pressed it against Lu Mian's neck. Her smile froze, bewildered as she attempted to block with her hands. Your Majesty, I am Song Manchio, your concubine. What are you doing? The Emperor's lips curled into a sinister smile. I know. The one I intend to kill is indeed Song Manchio. I am a tyrant. Do I need to seek your opinion on whom to slay? You claim to be Song Manchio, so of course, I shall eliminate you. The sword sliced across Lu Mian's neck, her face paling in terror, trembling to the point of being unable to form a coherent sentence. The Emperor scoffed and swung his sword towards her neck. Lu Mian froze, almost instantly seeing me beside her, struggling to point at me. I am not Song Manchio. She is. She is. My parents quickly reacted, pulling me to the Emperor's side. Your Majesty, she is Song Manchio. If you must execute someone, let it be her. This child, Mian, has always been obedient. Are you certain? She is Song Manchio? Yes, it is she. My parents shielded Lu Mian, fearing that a moment's delay would lead to her injury. Oh, the Emperor lowered his sword, a glimmer of interest in his eyes as he approached me. He lifted my chin with the sword's tip, and the barrage of comments flooded before my eyes, merging into a crimson tide. D. Why not obediently marry Scholar Wu? Why did you not heed our advice and come to stir up trouble? Haraha, you deserve it. As the Emperor raised his sword, Lu Mian smirked, a glint of malice in her eyes. A flash of the blade sliced through, and I bitterly smiled, instinctively closing my eyes. Perhaps this was my fate. Yet in the next moment, warm blood splattered across my face, and I cautiously opened my eyes, only to see an arm severed beside me.
Ah, ah.
Scholar Wu clutched his severed arm, wailing in agony. I instinctively looked up to see him reaching out to me again. His calloused hand wiped away the tear stains from my face. Look at you, crying like a little kitten. Are you so heartbroken you cannot marry me? Lu Mian's smile stiffened. I was shocked and bewildered, instinctively gazing at him. Your Majesty? He leisurely sheathed his sword, raising an eyebrow at my voice. What is it? My beloved? He pulled me up from the ground, tossing me a handkerchief, kindly explaining, he dared to bully my beloved concubine. So, I merely took his hand as a warning. Do not fear, my dear. I am not unreasonable. Lu Mian's eyes widened. But you are going to kill Song Manxiu. Why do you not kill her?
Why?
The emperor chuckled. What does it matter to you whom I wish to kill or spare? I see her in good spirits. I do not wish to slay her. By the way, I have yet to address your impersonation of my beloved concubine. Lu Mian, seeing the emperor sheath his sword, instantly reverted to a coy demeanor, crawling before him and deliberately displaying a pitiable expression. Your Majesty, my aunt and uncle did not mean to. It was merely a case of mistaken identity. My cousin does not fit the mold of a typical noblewoman. How could someone so plump bear the title of a concubine? The young lady believed this to be the will of heaven. Even the heavens seemed to deem her cousin unworthy of the esteemed position of imperial concubine. Coincidentally, the young lady harbored a secret infatuation for His Majesty. Scholar Wu was indeed a man of exceptional quality, meticulously chosen among many. Her cousin would surely enjoy a life of comfort should she marry him. However, the young lady never anticipated her cousin's blatant avarice. With such questionable morals, how could her cousin possibly deserve to enter the palace and serve as a model for all women? Her parents hastily echoed her sentiments. That child, Manxiu, was born a wretched being, frivolous and licentious. How could she be worthy of becoming an imperial consort? Since Manxiu's sedan chair had already arrived at the Wu residence and they had shared intimate relations, it would be best to submit to destiny. My eyes brimmed with tears. My heart felt as if it were being torn asunder, and I stubbornly fixed my gaze upon them, poised to speak. Yet, I felt the emperor gently pat my hand. He turned to them, his voice laced with derision. Destiny? Is it your intention to question my decision regarding the selection of my imperial concubine? Lu Mian stepped forward, feigning understanding as she spoke. As the saying goes, fate often leads to unexpected pairings. The connection between His Majesty and myself, and that between my cousin and Scholar Wu, is indeed a heavenly match. Yet the emperor's gaze shifted back to me. I believe the most crucial aspect of this matter lies in Song Manxiu's feelings. Manxiu, what say you? The subtitles reappeared before me. Even if he does not wish to harm you now, he will surely desire to do so in the future. Quickly declare your unwillingness to be the imperial concubine. Proclaim your wish to wed Scholar Wu. Your cousin is so endearing. The position of imperial concubine is destined for her. Should you enter the palace, you will merely be cast aside like fodder for snakes. Hurry and speak. Hurry and speak. Hurry and speak. My gaze remained resolute, and I declared my willingness to enter the palace to serve at His Majesty's side. My parents' faces contorted in fury, labeling me a wretched daughter. The emperor stepped forward, his broad shoulders shielding me, the scent of dragon's saliva mingling with the aura of blood filling the air. This is my intent. Do you dare question me? What crime is it to doubt my word? Do the 9 generations of the Song family still desire their standing? Almost instantly, beads of sweat appeared on my parents' foreheads. I have declared, my imperial concubine shall only be Song Manxiu. Lu Mian's face twisted with resentment, yet upon meeting the emperor's cold, penetrating gaze, she dared not utter another word. Unexpectedly, the emperor's scrutinizing gaze fell upon her. As for you, you possess a delicate and charming appearance. A spark of delight ignited in Lu Mian's eyes, and she cast me a triumphant glance. Indeed, I told you the emperor would fall for my cousin at first sight. Everyone in this world adores my cousin. Dear protagonist, turn back. Simultaneously, the emperor's voice wafted softly to my ears. Then, I shall bestow him upon Scholar Wu. Lu Mian gazed up in disbelief. The emperor? His narrow eyes flicked disdainfully in her direction, his lips parting slightly. Did you not claim that Scholar Wu was the finest man among many? Surely, he would ensure a life of happiness for you. How could I bear to disrupt such a splendid match? I find you both remarkably well-suited. This marriage is approved. With that, he gently drew my hand closer. My beloved, what do you think? I, of course, expressed no dissent. The ceremony to honor the concubine had been rendered void. In light of my esteemed status, I shall not punish you. 3 days hence, I shall hold a new ceremony for the concubine, and at that time, you shall serve my concubine as she ascends the sedan chair. Lu Mian, utterly drained of strength, collapsed onto the ground, venomous hatred flashing in her eyes. The emperor took my hand and led me back to the Song residence. 3 days later, I prepared myself anew. This time, the emperor stationed guards outside. However, I recalled the malevolent glint in Lu Mian's eyes. She would not let me escape unscathed. As I pondered this, I heard Lu Mian's and my parents' voices outside. They wept, claiming they had erred and wished to adorn me for my wedding. Over the past 3 days, they had sought to meet me repeatedly, insisting they wished to make amends. But I had noticed the same ill intentions reflected in their eyes as in Lu Mian's. My heart ached, perplexed as to why they sought to harm me. Yet I would not grant them another opportunity. To my astonishment, my parents knelt at the door. Monsieur, we have raised you. We simply made a small mistake. Are you truly unwilling to grant us the chance to adorn you? They lamented that word would spread, damaging our family's reputation for raising daughters. Lu Mian even knocked her head until it bled. Cousin, I was wrong. I should not have angered you. All faults lie with me. Punish me if you must. Uncle and aunt merely wish to care for you. They wept and wailed at the door, attracting a crowd of bewildered onlookers. The subtitles flickered across the bronze mirror. Let them in. They have prepared a beautiful golden hairpin to adorn you. And 10 gold bars. After all, parents do not harbor overnight grudges. Let them in. After some contemplation, I decided to allow the guards to admit them. Once inside, my mother obediently began to style my hair. My father brought in a large chest from outside, declaring it contained my dowry. Monsieur, the previous incidents were merely the result of our momentary folly. This is all your dowry, a gift from us. Lu Mian, feigning sorrow, added, Cousin, all the blame lies with me. I should not have coveted your position. Please accept uncle and aunt's goodwill. Approaching the chest, I reached for the lock. Lu Mian's excitement was palpable. She stepped back, her gaze fixed intently on my hand. Cousin, take your time. I noticed my father blocking the doorway, diverting all attention from the guards. Pretending ignorance, I slowly unlocked the heavy rosewood chest. The subtitles brimmed with anticipation. Open it, for it contains treasures, all the heartfelt intentions of your parents. Surely, upon seeing these, the protagonist will forgive her parents. This is truly a heartfelt gift from your parents. You must not let their efforts go to waste. I began to comprehend their ulterior motives as I gradually unveiled the rosewood chest. The moment I opened it, a cloud of red powder erupted towards me. Someone forcefully shoved me from behind. I held my breath, offering no resistance, and fell into the chest as per their design. Soon after, the sound of the chest being locked echoed from outside. Lu Mian kicked the chest in anger. Wretched girl, you truly are difficult to manage, even with tricks. You remain disobedient. Just wait until I complete my task and see how I deal with you. Quickly, have someone dispose of the chest in the beggar's den. I want her to suffer. I shall see if Sir Yi still desires you when he finds you among the beggars. Lu Mian feigned my demeanor, sitting on a stool to confuse the guards as several servants carried the chest out of the estate. Yet, contrary to her expectations, I remained conscious within the chest. As they lifted it out of the alley, a group of black-clad guards descended from the walls, swiftly incapacitating them one by one before kneeling before me. Your Highness, we have executed her original plan perfectly. Meanwhile, my parents, outside preparing to announce my disappearance, were oblivious to the events unfolding. They cried out in despair, Monsieur is missing. She must have exchanged places with Lu Mian to escape her marriage. Everyone, quickly help us find our daughter. Within the crowd, their planted accomplices emerged. I just saw Miss Song heading in that direction. Follow me. A throng of people trailed behind the man, swiftly arriving at a dilapidated temple. The temple resonated with blush-inducing moans, rendering nearly everyone present crimson-faced, too ashamed to lift their gazes. My mother, covering her face, appeared deeply mortified. Yet her voice was loud enough for all to hear, lamenting how she could have committed such an act. Alas, the misfortune of our household. Father, with a darkened countenance, pounded his chest in despair. It was one thing for her to have mingled indiscriminately with others, but now she was a consort of the emperor. This wretched child. With gritted teeth, father seemingly resolved, today, upon capturing this disgraceful girl, I shall cast her into the pond to quell the emperor's wrath.
Come.
Let's break down the door. A few strong men stepped forward, and with a kick, they shattered the dilapidated temple's door. Before all, A sight of bare flesh was unveiled. Silence enveloped the scene, so profound that the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. My mother, in a fit of despair, cried out, "Song Manu! How could you have turned out to be such a daughter, a wanton harlot? What sins have we, the Song family, committed?" Yet no one echoed her sentiments. The atmosphere was steeped in a deathly silence. That was until the Emperor's deep voice pierced through the stillness. "Oh, what are you all gathered here for?" My parents fell to their knees before the Emperor, their faces smeared with tears and snot, lamenting, "It is the failure of this humble servant to educate his daughter properly. That wretched Song Manu has been consorting with beggars in this forsaken temple. I apologize, Your Majesty. I shall have that wicked girl captured and thrown into the pond." The Emperor scoffed. "Are you so certain that the person inside is your daughter, Song? You haven't even glanced at her." Father instinctively replied, "How could there be any mistake?" However, in the next moment, I emerged from behind the Emperor, adorned in a phoenix crown and vibrant garments, pristine as a maiden. "Father, were you searching for me? I do not comprehend what wrongdoing I have committed to incite your desire to cast me into the pond." My parents' eyes widened in disbelief. You are here. Who is that inside?" I smirked. "Did you not guess? Of course, it is your precious daughter." They screamed in unison and rushed into the temple, finally recognizing the woman among the beggars as Lu Mian. They descended into madness, attacking the beggars. My heart, which had initially ached with pain, had turned to indifference. They had brought this upon themselves, nothing more. Lu Mian, still in a dazed state, sat there, cursing, "Song Manu, this is the consequence of disregarding my advice. I am a tasker. How could you mere mortals be my match? You shall kneel before me." The Emperor fixed her with a chilling gaze, murmuring something to the guards behind him. Curious, I leaned closer, but before I could catch his words, he beckoned me with his slender finger. "Guifei, it is time to enter the palace. Our coronation ceremony is upon us." The imperial procession traversed the long street, where subjects knelt in reverence. Red lanterns adorned the palace gates, swaying gently in the breeze. The Emperor extended his hand, gently assisting me down from the carriage. With the ceremonial officers chanting, I finally completed the rites of becoming a consort and reclaimed my rightful place. By the time all was said and done, dusk had settled. C took my hand, leading me into the palace chambers. Inside, the red candles flickered brightly, casting a soft glow on his otherwise stern features. As he leisurely toyed with the ring on my finger, I felt a sudden wave of anxiety. "Your Majesty?" His cool fingertips lingered on me for a moment. "Call me C, my beloved. Now is not the time for words." The red candles blazed, showering the ground with stars. Without a queen, the palace was mine to command. After days of interaction, I discovered that he was not the tyrant as rumored. He dealt with only the most treacherous of villains, albeit with excessive severity, which had earned him a reputation for brutality. Reclining against the imperial carriage, he squinted slightly, playing with my hand. During the third return visit to the Song residence, I had no intention of going back, yet he mysteriously insisted I must revisit. At the Song Manor, my parents wore expressions of fury and despair, launching themselves at me upon my arrival. "Wretched child, how could you be so cruel? How could you bring such harm to Mian Mian? She is, after all, your sister." C stepped forward, shielding me with his broad shoulders. I was perplexed by their behavior. The events of that day were ultimately their own doing. I had done nothing more. Before long, Lu Mian returned, trailed by Scholar Wu and his 5 children. She ground her teeth in rage. "Song Manu, you wretched harlot." It turned out that C had sent her, disheveled, through the streets, accompanied by drums and gongs, to the Wu household. Thus, the entire capital learned of her marriage to Scholar Wu, leaving her with no opportunity to wed another. Scholar Wu, initially reluctant to marry her due to her current state, was compelled to do so under pressure from C. He harbored resentment against her for having caused him to lose a hand, and upon arriving at the Wu residence, she was immediately tasked with labor. In my past life, I had washed clothes in cold water daily, and now all the burdens fell upon Lu Mian. Within days, she had become a mere shadow of herself, her wrists bearing bruises. Scholar Wu and his 5 children visited the Song household, seemingly there to take advantage. Upon entering the side room, Lu Mian immediately turned on me with fury. "Are you satisfied now that I am in this state because of you?" I scoffed. "You have brought this upon yourself. Had you not schemed against me, the Wu family would never have become our son-in-law. This is simply the consequence of your own actions. I have merely allowed the natural order of things to unfold. What fault is mine? You, with your rotund figure, live blissfully without care, while I, who have suffered, deserve to be humiliated and live a life of solitude. A glint of madness flashed in Lu Mian's eyes. But this was not the end. Did you think I would be without recourse? Humph. A sense of foreboding surged within me. Almost instantaneously, she bit her fingertip and lunged at me, pinning me to the ground. System swap. I will exchange all my points to assume the identity of Song Manyu. In an instant, the world spun around me. Her eyes were bloodshot, filled with madness and glee. Song Manyu, your life is now mine. Yet soon, she realized something was amiss. After an entire incense stick had burned down, there was no change between us. She looked around in disbelief. How is this possible? How could it not be possible? Had I known you were up to something, how could I not have prepared? Before meeting him, C had instructed the National Master to set up a formation here to strip Lu Mian of her enchantments. Scene emerged from behind the screen with the National Master, biting his finger and letting blood drip to the ground. In an instant, a radiant red light surged. Lu Mian shrieked as a stream of crimson light separated from her. The subtitles before my eyes vanished entirely. Lu Mian had been reduced to an ordinary person, clutching her head and screaming in madness. Song Manyu, may you never find peace. Do you think you can find happiness without me? I await your downfall. C snorted coldly. Seize this witch and have her executed. Yet I interjected, halting him. Your Majesty, to slay such a person would merely tarnish your hands. For her, a life of ignominy would be far more excruciating than death itself. I have instructed that she be returned to the Wu family. Lu Mian threw herself into her mother's embrace, crying out desperately. I will not go back, no. I refuse to return. Uncle, aunt, please save me. Her mother held her tightly, her sleeves enveloping the girl. Regardless of the circumstances, she has grown up alongside you. How can you treat her thus? That Wu scholar is a scoundrel. His household is no place for decent folk. Mian is more beautiful than you, more understanding, more gentle. Since you are envious of her and unwilling to allow her entry into the palace, then arrange for her a more suitable marriage. I believe the youngest son of the Prime Minister would be a fine match for our Mian. It appears they too recognize that the Wu household is not a haven. Yet they still allow Lu Mian to scheme against me. Even in my previous life, I toiled until exhaustion, and they remained indifferent observers. My disappointment is profound. Having wed into the palace, we are no longer father and daughter. The distinction between sovereign and subject prevails. Henceforth, you and father shall refer to me as your Majesty. Father and mother seemed taken aback by my declaration, standing frozen in place, exchanging bewildered glances. With a flick of her wrist, mother pushed Lu Mian away, her eyes filled with confusion. I did not look back, taking Cia's hand as we exited the room. The sounds of Lu Mian's weeping and my mother's calls echoed behind us. We walked to the bridge, where I paused to gaze at the willows by the shore. The willows swayed gently, and the spring sunlight was just right. In truth, mother spoke correctly. They had always claimed I was not as slender as Lu Mian, not as beautiful, nor as charming. Shadows of my past life flickered through my mind. Had Lu Mian entered the palace that day, perhaps even the emperor would have taken a liking to her. He scoffed. Who claimed such a thing? I have known you for ages. Would I casually summon an unfamiliar person into the palace? I looked up, slightly astonished, and saw a glimmer of pride in his eyes. Come to think of it, I was indeed smitten with you, at first sight. That year, weary of the old men's incessant chatter, I fled the palace. All the men and women in the capital are the same, dignified, opulent, sycophantic, masked in pretense. Only you were different. That day, you wept beneath the willow tree. It was particularly poignant. I was filled with curiosity. What was so poignant? He smirked, a hint of mischief in his smile. Particularly ugly. What? I gasped. Ah, Xiao. Life is not so intricate. When one loves, one loves. He tilted his head, adjusting the hairpin in my hair. Is it not permissible for me to feel joy upon seeing you? Of course, if my beloved consort is unwilling, I shall not compel her. Yet, facts reveal that you adored me fervently, willing to sever ties with your family to marry me. Alas, my esteemed consort loves me so intensely, and it brings me great distress. A year later, on the day my child turned 1 month old, news of the Song family's demise reached the palace. The maidservants buzzed with gossip, claiming that Lu Mian had frequently returned home to extract money from the Song family to indulge that Wu scholar. Initially, Song father and mother complied, but the Wu household was an insatiable abyss, and gradually they ceased to provide. Lu Mian harbored deep resentment, deceiving Song father and mother into a final meal, luring all the Wu family to the Song residence, where she poisoned the food with rat poison, including the Wu scholar. The 8 members of the Wu family, along with Song father and mother, were all fatally poisoned. Subsequently, Lu Mian set fire to the place and fled with all the gold and silver, but before she could escape the capital, she was apprehended by the constables of Jingzhaoyin. Her execution has now been decreed for the autumn. I remained silent for a moment, instructing that the funeral arrangements for Song father and mother be made. My daughter in the cradle cooed softly. I approached and lifted her into my arms. The past is faded. The future shall only improve. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next story.